What's up, YouTube? Brett Hoover from Rants here. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. All right, so could the CW have ever been saved? Could it have been saved? Could it have been better? Could maybe it at least postponed its inevitable fall? I still believe it could. But I'll tell you the reason why, and I feel like this article right here highlights the biggest problem with not the only problem, but the biggest problem that the CW faced when it comes to the Arrowverse. And it says executive producer Ava DuVernay confirms the CW's Naomi will emphasize identity politics. Emphasize identity politics in a superhero show. Because that's what people are tuning in for, is to see a superhero show. Now, if you want to put, let's say you make a crime drama, you talk about, I don't know, African American crime rate, or being jailed at higher proportions than other races and so forth along those lines. That fits in with those shows. Racism fits in with those shows a lot better because you can just easily sway into it. So if you wanted to do an identity politics version of anything, crime dramas are the absolute best things, best shows to focus that into. Because people that are watching the crime dramas are expecting those kind of storylines because they just just flow easily into the culture. Now, as for superhero shows, now I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself when it comes to this. I have never one time watched a superhero show wanting to know the opinions of the director. I don't care if they're conservative, I don't care if they're progressive, don't really care. I'm there to watch a superhero show. Something, a whole capes and tights like thing. Something to suspend my belief. I'm not there thinking to myself, you know what? I want to really them talk about the real world implications of something. No, it's kind of hard to do that when you've got a guy flying around with a red cape. It's very hard to do that in those shows. That's the reason why it doesn't work in those shows. So anytime that you are trying to play identity politics or put in, some kind of progressive think tank logic or anything, or even if you did a conservative version of it, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Its problem will always be the same. People are not tuning in to see that. That is not why they watch Supergirl, Superman, Arrow, Flash, name it. They're not there to watch those particular characters solve problems that, let's say, America has faced for 300 years. That's not what they're there for. And the CW, for some reason, even though they've shown that, hey, they're up for sale now, they've failed since the very beginning, and they never learned their lesson. They never learned their lesson because they're like, maybe this time around, fans will, respond differently to it. Maybe this time around, they'll want to hear our preaching. No, they won't. They will never want to hear your preaching. That's the problem, guys. Now, I'm not saying that is the only problem with the CW. I'll tell you a very good example of what I thought was a huge problem with the CW as well was their storylines got less about the actual characters outside of the suits and more about the characters just in the suits. I remember when Flash, Barry Allen would start off, you know, with his job and then his life at home and then all of that. And then all of a sudden it's like starting after like season 3 or 4, it switched. It's like he started off in his suit, everything revolved around his suit. Everybody had a team. They've kind of did the same storylines over and over and over again. Um, And then of course, and I always mention the Flash because at one time that was my all-time favorite show. It really was. I love that show. I've watched, the first few seasons of it probably a million times. Um, I loved that show. I thought they had the perfect Flash guy to play Flash in that role. And I enjoyed Arrow and a few of these other shows as well. But I will never understand why they take a mold from one and then do the same mold for another one. So like if Team Flash has, a team, well, there's got to be a Team Arrow, a team this, a team that. No, there don't. There doesn't always have to be the same things. When it come to like the Flash, it got to be more about Barry Allen just causing his own problems, therefore creating them and then having to fix them temporarily before he goes off and does it again. That was the biggest problem that I had with the Flash. But I had it with some of these other shows. Um, you know, um, Legends of Tomorrow, which I actually thought was probably one of the better shows on the CW, even though I kind of got tired of their, preaching and to a certain extent too. But I feel like the CW could have survived, should have survived. Now I get it. HBO Max is going to do all these shows better at some point or another. They're going to do all of it better. They're going to be able to curse on it, show things that more brutality than what they ever could on CW. Now that does hurt CW to a certain extent because they always have to kind of fit into this mold of what the kids are watching. We can't do these kind of things. It's kind of one of those. So I'm not going to say that the Arrowverse was doomed to fail from the very beginning. I don't believe it was. I believed if you would have kept identity politics out of it, if you would have stopped with taking these cookie cutter pasted things like team this and team that, and then stop making the problem be about something that the actual hero has caused. I mean, there are so many problems with that line of thinking. um I'm saddened. I'm really saddened about it. I really am. I really thought as a fan of DC, I really thought that they had something special going on. And it just seems like the more shows that they put up, um, and I haven't even got over to the crossovers. Crossovers were terrible. 'Cause there was some shows that I didn't even want to watch, and I had to go back and watch it. I'm like, oh, this is tiring. I can't do this. It's just too many shows going on at one time. And maybe that was it too. Maybe it was way too much at one time. They're like, hey, this worked with Arrow, and hey, this is working with Flash. Let's go and do this a million times over. Um, so many problems with that. So many problems with that. I actually thought in a lot of um, shows as well that the acting really deteriorated. Like I said, the storylines were, they were media. They always were kind of mediocre. They always were kind of mediocre, with every now and then an outstanding storyline happening. Um, but they suspend belief in a lot of different ways when they constantly keep us in this the superhero mode and not show us the person outside of the superhero stuff. It's easy when you've got a little bit of superhero, kind of like what they did in not Lois and Clark. Lois, is it Lois and Clark? It's on the CW, and that's a really good show. Um, that to me, that show does it. Or is it Lois? I totally forget the name of it now, but it does it well, simply because what it does is it's based around the family, and then there's a little bit of Superman. And that's awesome because you can suspend yourself, the belief a little bit. But when you're doing the whole show, it gets tiring. You get tired of suspending that belief throughout a whole show. You just do, no matter if you love it or hate it. I feel like that is something that always will doom it as well. So you know what, CW, you get what you deserved. Um, and even when your company has failed, literally failed, there's still not one hint of remorse or one hint of maybe let's try to right this ship a little bit. No, they're going to continue doing the same route. And you're going to see these are going to be the headlines. And this is just what the CW is all about. They put identity politics and politics above success. Anytime you do that, the whole go woke, go broke will always happen to you. And in this case, it's in the most literal terms. They have gone broke and are forced to sell simply because they didn't adhere to ratings. They didn't adhere to what fans wanted. They just wanted to preach to you. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Why do you think the CW Arrowverse failed? Do you believe it could have been saved? Um, my personal opinion is yes, it could have been maybe not saved, but it could have lasted a lot longer if they would have just left out all the politics with it and just actually gave us good stories. I think it would have gone a lot further. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.